You're in a meeting, and someone interrupts you for the third time. You finally speak up, "Sorry, but can I just finish my point?" The room goes quiet. You feel small for even asking. You apologize when you ask for basic respect, and it weakens your point before you even make it. Here's the interruption you can use today, exactly as written: "I'd like to finish my thought." No sorry. No softener. Just that sentence. When you say it calmly, something shifts. Your voice sounds steadier than you expect. The room adjusts. You realize you didn't have to shrink to be heard. For the next 10 minutes, you sit differently. Your spine straightens. You feel the difference between asking permission and stating a need. Educational content inspired by classical Stoic texts. Not medical, psychological, financial, or legal advice. This won't turn you into someone aggressive, but it will stop you from undercutting yourself. The habit of apologizing for your needs doesn't start in boardrooms. It starts in small moments. Sorry to bother you. Sorry if this is dumb. Sorry, but could you cushion your words before they even land. You're not apologizing for harm. You're apologizing for existing with preferences. And it costs you. It costs you authority at work. It costs you clarity in relationships. It costs you internal self-respect, because every unnecessary apology sends your nervous system a quiet message: my needs are inconvenient. The Stoics were clear about this: you control your judgments and your choices. You don't control whether people agree with you. When you apologize for your needs, you're trying to manage someone else's reaction before it even happens. That's outside your control. What is inside your control is how clearly you state what you require. By the end of this lesson, you'll replace apology language with clarity language. You'll see how small word changes reshape workplace confidence and relationship communication. And you'll feel self-respect when you speak up, not because others approve, but because you didn't dilute yourself. If you've ever walked away from a conversation replaying how you said sorry for something that didn't require it, this is for you. Subscribe if you want practical boundary tools that strengthen your voice without turning you hard. First, you'll see why apologizing feels safe in the moment but weakens you long-term. Next, you'll learn a clean sentence structure that removes unnecessary apology language. Then, you'll practice staying steady when someone pushes back. Finally, you'll step into a real scenario where the old habit almost wins, and you choose differently. Later, there's a moment where someone tests your boundary in front of others. That's where this really becomes real. You're at your desk on a Tuesday afternoon. You need an extra day to finish a project. You open Slack, type, "Sorry, I'm running behind. Could I maybe have until Thursday?" You stare at the message before sending it. You already feel guilty. You haven't done anything wrong. But your body reacts like you have. Here's the microshift: instead of apologizing, write this exactly: "I'll have the draft ready Thursday." That's it. No sorry. No explanation spiral. Just clarity. Notice what happens internally when you read that sentence. It feels direct. Almost exposed. You can feel the urge to add something softer, "if that's okay," or "hope that works." That urge is the habit we're addressing. Apology language feels polite. It feels safe. It lowers the emotional temperature. But in situations where you haven't caused harm, it subtly positions your needs as a burden. Over time, that repetition trains both you and the people around you. You learn to shrink. Others learn to expect shrinkage. This works differently because clarity language removes the emotional fog. It separates responsibility from preference. If you've missed a deadline because of a mistake, an apology is appropriate. If you need more time because the scope changed, that's not wrongdoing, it's information. The Stoics would call this distinguishing between what's within your control and what isn't. You control your effort and honesty. You don't control the complexity of the task or the expectations others invent in their heads. Let's make this practical in a North American workplace moment. Your manager adds a new deliverable at 4:30 p.m. and asks if you can get it done real quick. Your reflex is, sorry, I know this is probably my fault, but I might not get to it tonight. That sentence weakens your position before the discussion even begins. Instead, try this, I can start that tomorrow morning. Tonight I'm finishing the report due at 5. Calm. Specific. No apology. No edge. Will there be friction? Maybe. They might respond, it shouldn't take that long. That's where clarity matters. You repeat the boundary without adding shame, it'll take about 2 hours. I can prioritize it first. Notice how you're staying with facts, not emotions. Here's your measurable action for today, audit your next 3 written messages. Before sending, remove any sorry that isn't attached to actual harm. Replace it with a time, a limit, or a preference stated clearly. That's it. 3 messages. Now a slow practice moment. Sit back. Take 1 breath in through your nose for 4 counts. Exhale for 6. Say quietly, my needs are not offenses. Let that sentence settle. Your nervous system may resist. That's normal. The habit of apologizing often developed to keep you safe in environments where being direct led to conflict. We're not dismissing that history. We're updating it. Clarity language also improves relationships outside work. Imagine you're at dinner with friends. You're tired and want to leave earlier than usual. The reflex, I'm so sorry, I'm lame, I just can't hang tonight. That frames your boundary as a flaw. Try instead, I'm heading out around 9 tonight. Early morning tomorrow. No apology. Just information. When you remove unnecessary apology language, you're not becoming cold. You're becoming accurate. You apologize for the harm. You state needs as needs. That clean separation reduces resentment because you're no longer pretending you did something wrong simply for having limits. And here's why this matters later. If you don't fix the small apology habit, you won't hold steady in bigger moments. The meeting. The relationship conflict. The salary negotiation. The boundary about time or respect. The muscle builds in small reps. If you can say, I'll have that Thursday, without apology, you're preparing for the moment when saying, that doesn't work for me, really counts. The conversation is almost over when it happens. You've been explaining something important, why you can't keep covering late shifts, why you need quieter mornings, why you don't want to be the default problem solver anymore. The other person sighs and says, wow. Okay. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. And instantly, you backtrack. No, sorry. I didn't mean it like that. It's not a big deal. I'm just being sensitive. There it is. The mistake isn't that you clarified your need. The mistake is that you apologized for the discomfort your clarity created. This is where most boundaries collapse, not at the beginning, but at the first sign of tension. When someone reacts, even mildly, your nervous system interprets it as danger. You feel heat in your chest. Your stomach tightens. You want relief. The fastest relief is retreat. And retreat sounds like apology language. I'm sorry. Forget it. I didn't mean to make it weird. It's fine. I'll handle it. That habit keeps the peace externally, but it erodes you internally. Here's the correction: separate emotional discomfort from wrongdoing. Discomfort is not the same as harm. When someone feels surprised, challenged, or inconvenienced by your boundary, that doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means something changed. The replacement rule is simple: if you haven't caused harm, don't apologize, anchor. Instead of backtracking, use this sentence: I'm not upset. I just want to be clear. Calm. Neutral. Steady. Let's replay the moment. They say, wow. Okay. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. You feel the urge to shrink. Instead, you breathe once. Then, I'm not upset. I just want to be clear. I can't keep covering late shifts every week. Notice the difference. You didn't attack. You didn't soften. You didn't apologize. You clarified. Why this works is simple. Apology language signals guilt. Anchor language signals steadiness. When you stay steady, the emotional energy in the room has somewhere to settle. When you apologize, it escalates indirectly because now the conversation becomes about your tone instead of the actual issue. Here's a tiny action you can practice today. The next time someone responds to your request with mild resistance, pause for 2 seconds before speaking. Count silently. That gap prevents reflex apology. Then respond with clarification instead of retreat. Now, a pattern is interrupted. Ask yourself quietly, when I apologize for my needs, what am I afraid will happen? Silence. Disapproval. Rejection. Conflict. Notice which one feels true for you. Take one slow breath in. Longer exhale. The Stoics taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Often, the rejection you fear is exaggerated in your mind. And even when someone does react negatively, that reaction is theirs. Your responsibility is clarity, not emotional management of others. Here's another everyday example. You're texting a friend who constantly changes plans last minute. You say, if plans change same day, I'm going to skip. I need more notice. They reply, okay, sorry I'm such a bad friend. That sentence pulls you into a guilt trap. The old reaction, no, you're not. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Forget it. The anchored response, I'm not saying you're a bad friend. I'm just saying I need more notice. Calm. Repeated. No apology. This is emotional endurance. Staying present while someone else feels something uncomfortable. That's the part most people avoid. They don't apologize because they're weak. They apologize because they can't tolerate tension. And here's why this matters later. Bigger boundaries always come with bigger emotional waves. If you fold at small size and subtle tone shifts, you won't hold steady in high-stakes moments, like asking for a raise, setting family limits, or correcting disrespect in public. Anchor language builds tolerance. I'm not upset. I just want to be clear. That doesn't work for me. I need more notice. Short. Repeated. Calm. You're not escalating. You're stabilizing. And the more you stabilize, the less you'll feel the need to apologize for existing with limits. There's a belief hiding underneath your apology habit. If I don't soften my needs, I'll seem difficult. That belief feels reasonable. Especially if you grew up in environments where being easygoing earned approval and being directly triggered conflict. So you learn to pad every request. To smile when you say it. To add a sorry so no one felt threatened. But here's the myth, apologizing makes boundaries smoother. In reality, apologizing for your needs often makes boundaries weaker, and weaker boundaries create more power struggles. When you say, sorry, but I really need you to stop interrupting me, the other person subconsciously hears uncertainty. They sense that you're not fully standing behind your own statement. That creates space for pushback. Clear instruction, remove emotional cushioning from your boundary, but keep your tone calm. The stakes are simple. If you dilute your boundary, people will test it. If you state it cleanly, they adjust faster than you expect. Here's the script under pressure. Please let me finish. Not louder. Not sharper. Just steady. Imagine a family dinner. You're telling a story and someone cuts in with a joke at your expense. Everyone laughs. Your face warms. The old reflex is, sorry, go ahead, followed by silence. Instead, breathe once. Then, hang on, I wasn't done. That's it. Notice what this does. It doesn't attack. It doesn't escalate. It simply reclaims space. Your nervous system may spike. You might feel exposed. But exposure isn't danger, it's unfamiliar territory. Now let's stress test this in a workplace moment. You're presenting in a meeting. A colleague interrupts repeatedly to clarify. After the second interruption, your pulse rises. You want to keep the peace. You almost say, "Sorry, I'm probably explaining this badly." Stop. That sentence turns the spotlight on your competence instead of their behavior. Use this instead: "Let me finish this section, then I'll take questions." Calm. Structured. No apology. Here's why this works under pressure: it redirects the flow without personal attack. It focuses on sequence, not character. Slow practice moment. Sit upright. Inhale through your nose for 4. Exhale for 6. Say internally, "Clarity is not aggression." Repeat it once more. When you remove apology language, you're not becoming rigid. You're becoming precise. The Stoics emphasized discipline of speech. Speak what is true. Remove excess. Don't dramatize. Don't self-diminish. There will be moments where someone responds with edge. "Wow, okay. Why are you being so serious?" It's not that deep. That's where steadiness matters most. You don't counterattack. You don't explain excessively. You repeat. "I just want to be clear. I need more notice. I'm not available tonight." Repetition signals conviction. Over-explanation signals doubt. Now here's what's uncomfortable: you can do everything calmly and still not get the reaction you want. Someone may roll their eyes. Someone may withdraw briefly. That doesn't mean your boundary failed. It means you didn't manage their feelings for them. That's the line between control and people-pleasing. When you apologize unnecessarily, you're trying to control the emotional temperature of the room. When you speak clearly, you control your words and release the rest. Later, there's going to be a moment in your life where someone challenges you publicly. Maybe in front of colleagues. Maybe in front of my family. And your old pattern will whisper, "Just apologize. End it. Shrink." That's the moment this practice prepares you for. Because calm boundaries that don't turn into power struggles aren't built in dramatic confrontations. They're built in quiet repetitions of clean language. No extra sorry. No self-criticism disguised as politeness. No apology for having a preference. You don't need to sound strong. You need to sound steady. And steadiness comes from clarity, not cushioning. You're sitting in a conference room with glass walls. Quarterly review. Your manager is flipping through a printed report of your performance metrics. Everything is solid: strong numbers, positive client feedback, projects delivered on time. Then she says it. "One thing I'd love to see is more visibility from you." Sometimes it's hard to tell how much you're contributing. Your stomach drops. Hard to tell? You've been carrying 2 major projects. You've stayed late. You fixed issues no one else wanted to touch. And suddenly the narrative is that you're invisible. Your old reflex rises fast. "Sorry. I probably should have communicated more. That's on me." You almost say it. You can feel the words forming. But pause. This is the moment from earlier. Discomfort is not wrongdoing. You inhale. Slow exhale. You separate fact from projection. Fact: she wants more visibility. Projection: she thinks I'm underperforming. Those are not the same thing. Your nervous system still wants relief. Apologizing would give you instant relief. It would smooth the tension. But it would also position you as responsible for something that hasn't been clearly defined. So instead, you anchor. "I'd like to understand what visibility would look like to you." The sentence lands calmly. No edge. No apology. She blinks, slightly surprised. "Oh, I just mean sharing updates in team meetings." You nod. "Got it. I can do that. I've been focused on deliverables, but I can add a short update each week." Notice what didn't happen. You didn't defend aggressively. You didn't apologize reflexively. You clarified expectations. The conversation shifts from accusation to alignment. But here's the part that almost breaks you. She adds, "Yeah, sometimes it feels like you're just doing your own thing." That line hits deeper. Your chest tightens again. You want to say, "Sorry, I didn't mean to come off that way. I'll try harder." That's the habit. Apologize for perception. Instead, you take one breath. I'm focused on results. If there are ways to align more visibly with the team, I'm open to that. Calm. No shrinking. She nods. That's fair. The review ends. You walk out still feeling slightly unsettled. Not triumphant. Not perfect. But steadier. Here's what just happened. Old reaction, apologize for existing, overown vague feedback, leave feeling smaller. New reaction, clarify, align, no unnecessary apology, leave feeling grounded. Now let's shift to later that evening. You're at dinner with your partner. They mention you've been distracted lately. You're always on your laptop. It feels like work comes first. Again, the urge. Sorry. I know. I'm the worst. That sentence would feel relieving. It would signal guilt and invite reassurance. But it would also erase nuance. You pause. Fact, you've been working late. Projection, you're a bad partner. I've been under pressure with this project, you say. I don't want you to feel sidelined. Let's pick 2 nights this week that are work-free. You didn't deny their feelings. You didn't apologize for having ambition. You acknowledged impact without self-attack. They soften. That would help. Here's the key detail, you didn't eliminate tension. You navigated it. The old habit almost won twice, at work and at home. In both moments, apology language would have bought temporary peace but cost long-term clarity. Instead, you used 3 tools. First, you paused before speaking. That 2-second gap prevented reflex language. Second, you separated fact from projection. That stopped shame from hijacking your response. Third, you replaced apology language with clarity language. Questions. Alignment. Boundaries. And notice something important, neither scenario ended with applause. No dramatic breakthrough. No standing ovation. Just quieter energy. That's an improvement without completion. You still feel the echo of the feedback. You still feel the vulnerability of speaking clearly. That doesn't vanish. But it no longer controls your tone. You're not aggressive. You're not defensive. You're steady. And steady is powerful because it doesn't require shrinking or dominating. It simply holds ground. That's the shift this lesson builds. Not louder. Not colder. Not harder. Clearer. And clarity is what turns "sorry for my needs" into "here's what works for me." Here's the core shift you've been building in this lesson. Apologizing is reacting. Clarity is responding. Reacting is fast, reflexive, and driven by discomfort. It tries to smooth tension immediately. It tries to manage how other people feel about your needs before they even process them. Responding is slower. It separates harm from discomfort. It speaks plainly without attacking and without shrinking. When you apologize for basic respect, time, space, or clarity, you train yourself to believe your needs are burdens. When you replace apology language with clear language, you train yourself to believe your needs are valid information. That's the difference between scattered and intentional. First, you saw how apology language sneaks into everyday communication, Slack messages, meetings, dinner plans. You learned that "I'll have it Thursday" lands differently than "Sorry, I'm running behind." That small shift builds quiet authority. Then you practice anchoring when someone reacts. Instead of backtracking with "Sorry, I didn't mean it like that," you used steady phrases like "I'm not upset. I just want to be clear." You felt the tension, but you didn't collapse under it. Next, you stress tested the skill under pressure. In meetings. At family dinners. In moments where someone interrupted or subtly challenged you. You removed emotional cushioning and replaced it with calm repetition. Not louder. Not harsher. Just steady. Finally, you walked through a real scenario where the old pattern almost won: performance feedback at work and vulnerability at home. In both moments, apology would have provided quick relief. But clarity built respect. That's the real lesson. You don't apologize for existing with limits. You apologize for the harm. Everything else gets clarity. Here are 3 specific steps you can apply today. First, the harm filter. Before you say or type sorry, ask one question: did I cause actual harm? If the answer is no, remove the apology. Replace it with a clear statement of preference, time, or limit. Practice this in at least 3 conversations today: email, text, or spoken. Second, the 2-second anchor. When someone reacts to your boundary, sighs, jokes, minimizes, pause for 2 seconds before responding. Use one of these steady lines: I just want to be clear. That doesn't work for me. I need more notice. Keep your tone neutral. This trains emotional endurance. Third, the weekly audit. At the end of this week, reflect on one moment where you didn't apologize unnecessarily. Write down what you said instead. Notice how it felt in your body. Not perfect. Not flawless. Just steadier. That's progress. If this lesson resonated, the next layer to explore is how to handle pushback when someone escalates instead of adjusting. Because clarity is powerful, but some people respond to boundaries with stronger reactions. A natural follow-up would be a lesson titled, Boundaries, Staying Calm When They Push Back. That's where steadiness becomes strength under fire. This channel isn't about becoming dominant. It's about becoming self-respecting. You don't need to become confrontational. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to win power struggles. You need to stop apologizing for normal human needs. Every unnecessary apology chips away at your internal authority. Every clear sentence rebuilds it. And here's something subtle but important: people adjust faster than you expect. When you consistently remove apology language, your environment recalibrates. Colleagues stop interrupting as often. Friends respect your time more. Conversations become cleaner because you're no longer cushioning everything. Not because you forced them. Because you stopped signaling uncertainty. Self-respect is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up in tone, posture, and pacing. It shows up in sentences that don't wobble. I'll have that Thursday. I'm heading out at 9. Please let me finish. No apology. No hostility. Just clarity. If you want more tools that help you hold steady without becoming harsh, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson.